Major changes are coming that could affect millions of Americans who depend on Social Security benefits such as SSI and SSDI. Lawmakers have stepped forward with warnings, and new legislation is being introduced that could reshape the future of the program. For seniors, individuals with disabilities, veterans, and even children who rely on Social Security, the next steps taken by Congress may prove critical.
This is America's #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly, the #1 anti-poverty program for children, and more veterans rely on Social Security disability than they do the VA.
Representative John Larson has been particularly vocal, stressing that enough is enough when it comes to inaction. He emphasized that Social Security is the nation's most effective anti-poverty program, keeping seniors out of poverty, helping millions of children, and providing more disability coverage for veterans than even the VA itself. Larson recently expressed support for new legislation designed to strengthen Social Security and safeguard it against those who have called for reducing or even shutting it down. This comes at a time when some political figures have raised the idea of privatizing the program, which many believe would be devastating for recipients. The risk of benefit cuts, eligibility restrictions, and reduced protections has alarmed lawmakers who argue that Social Security must remain a public guarantee, not a private gamble. Legislation to protect and strengthen Social Security. Representative Melanie Stansbury, a Democrat from New Mexico, has introduced legislation aimed at blocking the privatization of Social Security. Her bill would require Congress to approve any major staffing cuts or closures of Social Security field offices. These offices are a lifeline for many Americans, especially seniors who need in-person assistance. Larson and several other lawmakers have joined Stansbury in supporting this measure. While the bill doesn't directly raise benefit amounts, it lays the groundwork for stronger protections. By ensuring Social Security remains in public hands, lawmakers believe future benefit increases will be easier to achieve. During remarks in support of Stansbury's efforts, Larson pointed out that Congress has not passed a major expansion of Social Security since 1971, when Richard Nixon was president. That means nearly half a century has gone by without lawmakers making meaningful updates to strengthen the system for modern realities. The call for benefit expansion. Larson made clear that the goal is not only to protect Social Security, but also to expand it. That means increasing monthly payments for seniors and people with disabilities who are struggling to keep up with rising costs. Many beneficiaries have waited decades for significant improvements. He also pointed to the economic importance of Social Security within individual districts. For example, in some regions, hundreds of thousands of dollars flow into local communities every month through Social Security payments, supporting not only beneficiaries but also local businesses that rely on their spending. The problem with the current COLA system, a major concern raised by lawmakers and experts, is the outdated formula used to calculate the cost of living adjustment, COLA, which determines annual increases in Social Security benefits. At present, COLA is based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, CPI-E. This measure tracks inflation in ways that do not accurately reflect the spending habits of seniors. For 2025, COLA increased benefits by just 2.5%. Yet during the same period, the price of groceries alone rose by more than 20%. Seniors, many of whom live on fixed incomes, are feeling the squeeze as rent, utilities, and prescription costs climb far faster than their benefits. Advocates are pushing for a switch to the Consumer Price Index for the elderly, CPI-E, which focuses specifically on the costs faced by older Americans. This includes essentials like housing, medical expenses, and food. Analysts estimate that if CPI-E were used, seniors could see an additional $300 to $500 added to their monthly checks. That kind of increase would make a real difference for recipients struggling to afford basic necessities. Potential benefits beyond Social Security adopting CPI-E wouldn't only impact Social Security recipients, veterans receiving disability benefits through the VA, as well as individuals who receive railroad retirement benefits, would also benefit, since those programs currently rely on the same CPI measure as Social Security. The Hands-Off Social Security Act, Another important piece of legislation, known as the Hands-Off Social Security Act, has been introduced with support from Stansbury, Larson, Joe Neguse, and Julie Johnson. This bill would prevent privatization and ensure that no major staffing or office changes could occur without congressional oversight. Supporters argue this act is critical, especially since some political figures and analysts have floated the idea of turning Social Security into a private investment-style program. Such a move could create risks for millions of Americans who depend on guaranteed monthly benefits. Without protections, cuts could be severe, and many current recipients might not even qualify under stricter rules. Given that more than 70 million people rely on Social Security, including seniors, people with disabilities, and children, the potential consequences of privatization are enormous. Lawmakers warn that stripping away protections would not only reduce benefits but could destabilize the financial security of entire families. Why expanding Social Security matters for many seniors. Social Security is their primary source of income. Rising rent, higher grocery bills, and expensive medical care mean that current benefit levels often fall short. Advocates stress that protecting the program is not enough. Expansion is necessary to meet the needs of today's retirees and disabled individuals. COLA reform is one way expansion could take shape, but lawmakers are also considering other ideas such as across-the-board benefit increases, more generous minimum benefits, and targeted relief payments. The push for a one-time stimulus. One idea gaining traction is a targeted one-time stimulus check for Social Security recipients. Advocacy groups such as the Senior Citizens League, TSCL, have called for a 1-400 payment to help older Americans cover essential expenses. Supporters argue that a targeted stimulus would provide immediate relief for seniors who are struggling to afford rent, mortgage payments, groceries, and utilities. For many, this kind of assistance could mean the difference between stability and financial crisis. Some lawmakers have expressed openness to the idea, though no formal bill has yet advanced. Advocates encourage citizens to speak up in favor of the proposal, believing that strong public support could push Congress to act. Why seniors need relief now? The cost of living crisis has hit seniors especially hard. Unlike younger Americans, retirees and disabled individuals often cannot increase their income through work. When inflation rises faster than COLA adjustments, they are left with shrinking buying power. A one-time, 1-400 payment would not solve long-term issues, but it could provide breathing room while lawmakers work on broader reforms. For this reason, advocacy groups continue to press Congress to take action. The broader debate over Social Security's future. At the heart of these discussions is a larger debate over the future of Social Security. Some argue the system is unsustainable and must be restructured, possibly privatized. Others counter that with modest reforms such as adjusting the payroll tax cap, which currently exempts high-income Social Security, can remain strong for decades to come. What remains clear is that millions of Americans depend on the program for survival. Any attempt to weaken it would likely deepen poverty, especially among seniors and disabled individuals. Why public pressure matters. Advocates stress that citizens have a role to play in shaping Social Security's future. By contacting lawmakers, supporting advocacy organizations, and voicing concerns publicly, Americans can help ensure that Social Security remains strong and fair. As seen with calls for a targeted stimulus, repeated advocacy can make a difference. Lawmakers may not act immediately, but sustained public demand often drives change. Closing thoughts. The coming years will be critical for Social Security. On the one hand, new legislation like the Hands-Off Social Security Act could protect the program from privatization. On the other hand, reforms to COLA and potential benefit expansions could improve life for millions of seniors, disabled individuals, veterans, and children. Still, challenges remain. Rising costs, political disagreements, and funding debates will continue to shape the conversation. For now, the most important message from lawmakers like John Larson and Melanie Stansbury is that Social Security must not only be protected but also strengthened. Advocates remain hopeful that by reforming COLA, expanding benefits, and possibly providing targeted relief payments, Congress can ensure the program continues to serve as America's strongest anti-poverty tool. Seniors, disabled individuals, and their families deserve nothing less.